Imagine a night when tension filled the air, when the promise of freedom clashed with the weight of oppression. March 5, 1770, Boston, Massachusetts. The streets are alive with protest. Colonists are shouting at British soldiers, furious about unfair taxes and the heavy hand of empire. In that moment of chaos, one man would step forward, a man whose name would echo through the centuries. His name was Crispus Attucks, and he would become the first to fall in the fight for American independence. The American colonies were on edge. The people were angry at Britain's rule, but beneath that anger lay another truth. Not all who lived in these colonies were free. Enslaved Africans and free black people lived in a world where liberty was spoken of but not shared. Against this backdrop, Crispus Attucks, a man of African and native descent, would soon take a stand that history could not ignore. Crispus Attucks was born around 1723, the son of an enslaved African man and a Native American woman from the Wampanoag tribe. His very existence was a reminder of America's contradictions, a nation that cried out for freedom while denying it to so many. He grew up in Massachusetts, likely enslaved in his early years. Records are scarce, but whispers of his life suggest resilience. At some point, he escaped bondage and lived as a free man, working as a sailor and dock worker. Yet even as a free black man, danger was constant. Colonial laws targeted people of color, and freedom was never secure. That fateful night in 1770, crowds gathered in Boston to protest British soldiers occupying their city. Tension flared. Snowballs and stones were thrown. Muskets were raised. Amid the shouting, Crispus Attucks stood tall. Accounts say he was at the front of the crowd, fearless, defiant. He was more than a protester. He was a man making a statement. That oppression must be confronted, no matter the cost. When the first shots rang out, Attucks was struck down. He fell instantly, the first casualty of what would later be called the Boston Massacre. In that moment, his blood stained the snow, and history was written. Crispus Attucks became the very first martyr of the American Revolution. His death was not in vain. It ignited outrage, fueling the movement that would lead to independence. Patriots invoked his name as proof of the cost of liberty. But here's the irony. The man who died for America's freedom was himself denied it. Crispus Attucks represented the paradox of the Revolution, a struggle for liberty that still excluded so many. Yet his sacrifice carved a place for black and native people in the story of America's birth. Abolitionists later held his memory high, a symbol of courage and resistance. Think about it. Crispus Attucks didn't know his death would spark a revolution. He was an ordinary man, working, surviving, enduring injustice. And yet, when the moment came, he stood at the front line. How many times in our world today are ordinary people called to do extraordinary things? His story reminds us that bravery often comes from those society tries hardest to silence. Crispus Attucks was the first to fall, but not the last. His courage set a tone for generations, proving that freedom has always carried a price. But what about those who not only fought for freedom, but carried others to it? What about the woman they called the Moses of her people, who risked everything night after night to lead the enslaved to liberation? Stay with us as we uncover our next hero.